A politician at 27, a senator at 30, 3 presidential runs, the candidate with the highest ever votes in America's presidential history. Joe Biden has impressive numbers. But does his record match them? He's had an almost 50-year-long political career. But has he done justice to those years? He's been a senator 6 times, but has Joe Biden been able to make a difference? And what different will his presidency bring to the table for India? What about the rest of the world? Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. Yesterday I spoke at length about Joe Biden, the man. I told you his story, the story of his family, why a train station is named after him. Tonight, let's shift focus to Joe Biden, the leader. Joe Biden, the 46th President of the United States of America. What would it mean for India? How different would President Biden be from President Donald Trump? What would it mean for the Indians who have an American dream? What would it mean for the Indian diaspora in the US? And what would it mean for India's government? I will answer all these questions one by one over the next few minutes. Let's begin with this one. Biden's presidency will be different from Trump's. You may say that's obvious, and you're right. But what's not obvious is whether that change will be good for India. Historically, Democrats have been friendlier with New Delhi. Take the example of John F. Kennedy or even Barack Obama. They have all tried to improve ties with India, but very recently, Democrats have also tried to irk India. They have tried to interfere in India's matters. In 2019, when the Modi government revoked the special status of Kashmir, Democrats slammed President Trump. Do you know why? Because Trump did not criticize India's move, India's internal move. In 2019, Democrats also slammed India's Citizenship Amendment Act. Again, India's internal affair. 1 year on, this is what Biden's campaign website reads. In Kashmir, the Indian government should take all necessary steps to restore rights for the people of Kashmir. These are not India-friendly words. But then again, these are just words. Does Biden plan to translate them into action? He would know better than that. And I will tell you why. Unlike Donald Trump, Joe Biden is a career politician. He's been involved in diplomacy for nearly 40 years. He's been a vice president. He knows better than offending India. India enjoys a very strong bipartisan support in the US. India has a very affluent diaspora in the US. Indian Americans funded Joe Biden's campaign. India is America's biggest Asian partner. And how can we forget China, the common foe now? India and the US are strategic allies, and India is America's strategic counter to China. Joe Biden should only try to build on this relationship. Going forward, he cannot afford to upset India. In a recent op-ed, Biden wrote, India and the United States can and should be natural allies. When Donald Trump called India filthy, Joe Biden shot back with a tweet. It's not how you talk about friends, he said. In the past, Biden has pushed India's interest. He was instrumental in removing the sanctions on India after the Pokhran II nuclear tests in 1998. He also convinced the Senate to retain curbs on Pakistan. Biden was the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee when the US-India nuclear agreement was signed in 2008. In 2006, Joe Biden had said, and I'm quoting, "My dream is that in 2020, the 2 closest nations in the world will be India and the United States. If that occurs, the world will be safer." Donald Trump suspended the preferential trade status for India. UBS Global Research says Biden's win in Congress will result in potentially more favorable US trade policies. In other words, it would boost investor sentiment. Under Joe Biden, India will remain America's major defense partner. What about geopolitics? Here too, historically, Democrats have been friendlier to India. During the 1971 Indo-Pak War, Republican Richard Nixon supported Pakistan. He deployed the 7th Fleet in the Indian Ocean region. Another Republican president, Ronald Reagan, strengthened Pakistan's ISI. His administration provided financial support to the spy agency. Of course, this is not the America of the 1970s. And to be fair, Republican President Donald Trump also cut funding off to Pakistan. And his administration backed India in the border standoff against China. What about Joe Biden? Look at what he recently wrote. if elected president, I will continue what I have long called for. The United States and India will stand together against terrorism in all its forms and work together to promote a region of peace and stability where neither China nor any other country threatens its neighbors. A Biden White House will not be a hurdle on the road to India's geopolitical goals. Question number 2. What will Biden mean for the Indians who have an American dream? For Indians who want to immigrate to America, Biden has promised to reform the H-1B visa system. He has promised to eliminate the limits of employment-based green cards. Trump's policy was America first. His White House had asked employers to quote-unquote buy American, hire American. Joe Biden says he wants to protect American and foreign workers alike. He's also promised to eliminate anti-immigration proclamations. Question number 3. What will a Biden White House mean for the Indian diaspora? 2 words, good news. This community has always leaned towards the Democrats, and this time too, a majority of them chose Biden over Trump. Finally, what would a Biden White House mean for the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Joe Biden will be the second Democratic president and the third American president that the Narendra Modi government would be dealing with. Donald Trump's presidency has been driven by his Twitter feed and defined by his aggressive America First policy. He endorsed unilateralism. Prime Minister Modi of India has pushed for multilateralism. Biden may not be so aggressively unilateral, plus he'll be more predictable and stable. Donald Trump, we know, is uncertain. One moment he's attending the Namaste Trump event, the next moment he's calling India filthy.
Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy.
Trump's policies seem to be driven by his personal idiosyncrasies. His White House is driven by his skin. A Biden White House is likely to have technocrats. As for striking a friendship, let's not forget Prime Minister Narendra Modi hugged Barack Obama before he embraced Donald Trump. From where I stand, Joe Biden will not be an exception. A hug may not happen in a hurry thanks to the Wuhan virus, but the relationship will be as cordial.
Mr. Prime Minister, our conversations these past 2 days leave me with absolute confidence that we can cross the sea together. And we are encouraged, all of us who have been in contact with you these last couple days, with your sense of purpose, with your incredible energy, and with your commitment to this relationship. Mr. Prime Minister, you won the largest democratic exercise in history, with over 550 million Indians casting their votes earlier this year. You campaigned on some of the very goals we hope to achieve in this relationship. Greater investment in India's economy, a modernized defense sector, and inclusive growth for both of our people.
What about the rest of the world? Here's what may be in store. Under Joe Biden, the United States of America will return to the World Health Organization, return to the Paris Climate Agreement. Biden has also committed to the Iran nuclear accord if Iran returns to strict compliance. A Biden White House is also likely to end U.S. support for the Yemen war. What about China and Russia? America's approach towards them is unlikely to change under Joe Biden. But being the seasoned politician he is, Biden is likely to seek more avenues of cooperation rather than actively stoking conflict. He is also likely to continue trying to push for an end to the war in Afghanistan and Iraq. I could go on about each of these points, but some other time perhaps. I will end with this. International relations are transactional. It's give and take. At the end of the day, it does not matter who sits in the White House, Donald Trump or Joe Biden, a Republican or a Democrat. The biggest factor that will dictate America's ties with India is how strong the latter is.
Gravitas Plus, co-presented by Skoda. Simply clever.